Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria if you are new here, and this is not a typical video style for me. This channel is mostly consists of my podcast, Mindset Matters, but today we're talking about my knee surgery. So I recently had my ACL and meniscus repaired. I'm officially 2 weeks post-op today, and I just wanted to make this video to share my experience and to share some mindset tips of things that are really helping me through this process, because trust me, I know how frustrating injuries can be, and this is such a long process for me. I've injured my knee twice, and it's this whole thing I'm going to get into, but I feel like I'm actually quite surprised at how well I'm doing through all of this. Like, I'm not doing that bad. Like, I'm pretty optimistic and I'm doing pretty well. So I thought that this video might help someone out there who's going through something similar, whether it's you're getting knee surgery or any sort of healing process that you're going through. I think these tips might help. Okay, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the backstory of how I injured my knee, how it's been like this 2.5 year process before getting surgery. But I will leave some timestamps so that if you're not interested and you just want to hear some tips of mindset, I'll leave that down below so you can decide if you don't want to watch this part. But I will say that the context of this story does put a lot of things in perspective that could be helpful. June 2022, I was playing soccer, and that was the first time I injured my knee. It was like a collision. I heard some pops. It was really bad. I went down instantly. And my biggest mistake right here is that I did not go to the hospital. I did not go to emergency. I actually drove myself home, which seems crazy, but drove myself home, woke up the next day, agonizing pain. My knee had blown up. I think I went to the walk-in originally. Went to get some x-rays. The walk-in, it was a Saturday. They didn't have, the x-ray place wasn't open, so I waited. Then I ended up going to my family doctor. We got x-rays and ultrasounds done, which nothing was broken. And at that point, I was like, okay, great, next step, MRI. Because obviously you don't know what's going on in your knee until you get the MRI. My doctor was so against getting the MRI for whatever reason, and I honestly still struggle to talk about this because I have and dealt with some deep anger towards this woman that I still feel like is maybe unresolved a little bit. I know I'm talking about, oh, I'm doing so well throughout this, but there was times where I was so frustrated because of this woman. And I asked her multiple times. She's like, you know what, we have to see how it heals before we get an MRI. And if it's buckling or whatever, at that point you would get the MRI. And I'm like, okay, but I am an active person. I'm still young. I want to play sports again. So if my ACL is torn, you know, I want to get it fixed. I want the surgery. So I kept telling her this, and she just kept basically saying no. Something I've learned, and someone told me recently, is to always ask your doctor to document things. So I could have asked her, I want you to write in record that you will not allow me to get an MRI. So knowing that, I think that could have helped. Also, getting a second opinion is something I wish I did. Again, I know all of this now, but in hindsight, I was like, you're my family doctor. I was thinking I could trust her. My mistake, but whatever. Anyways, life goes on. I end up doing physio. I rehabbed the knee for a year, okay? I end up doing my Fight to End Cancer boxing journey, which was like 6 months of boxing before fighting. Turns out I had no ACL this whole time. So I realized, and one thing I learned is that you can have a pretty normal life without an ACL. If it's not causing you issues, so your knee's not buckling, in theory, you just can't do those pivoting movements or like quick movements that a lot of like running sports like soccer require. So I was doing boxing, which still is a lot of quick feet. Didn't have any issues with my knee. We rehabbed it. I thought, I'm good to go. Yay, maybe my doctor was right. Now the really sad, frustrating part was July of this year. So pretty much 1 calendar year after my first injury, I was asked to play soccer. I thought, why not? I will not go in for any tackles. I will just go and play. At that point, I had been running, so I felt like, you know, whatever, why not? And this is what happened. I was just sprinting. At one point, I went to sprint, and I went to just stop. And I just didn't stop. My knee buckled, And obviously I didn't have an ACL to catch me, and now I know what happened was I had no ACL, and now further my meniscus tore and rotated and was completely out of place. So it got way worse. The second injury was way worse. I couldn't rehab it. Like, I knew right away I needed surgery. I couldn't even straighten my leg once the swelling had subsided, and I did physio. So that's kind of the whole backstory of like injury after injury. So with that, I would just say advocate for yourself. If you know something's wrong with your body, like, find a second opinion. If you have a trauma injury like that, go to the hospital. Like, don't do what I did and wait, because I feel like this could have been avoided. And obviously I was so angry with this doctor and I was really frustrated. I've actually gotten a new family doctor, so I never have to see this woman again. So that's kind of the backstory of what happened. Got the MRI in September, and I was really fortunate to pretty quickly get surgery and see a specialist, which I know is rare. So I'm really thankful that I was able to get my surgery on November 1st, and I'm officially 2 weeks post-op. So now that I'm officially 2 weeks post-op, I got my stitches out yesterday. I'm still wearing my brace that I have to wear for probably at least 2 more weeks. And I'm still using crutches to walk, but it's getting easier. And I kind of just want to talk about my mindset through all of this, because as frustrating as it was, I think at some point you kind of have to let that go. And, you know, I could choose to be angry at this doctor all I want, but it's not going to change my situation. I would say during the summer when it first happened, I was really, really struggling to accept it at first. And I felt so much anger towards this woman, because I was like, bruh, this could have been solved. This could have been avoided if you had just listened to me. But then I also felt that guilty of like, oh, I should have got a second opinion, and I was blaming myself a bit. So I kind of let myself feel those feelings for a few days. And then I had to make the active choice of like, Vic, you have to let it go, because this isn't gonna serve you at the end of the day. I wanna now jump into a couple of tips of like, I guess my mindset in general that has really helped me through this whole process, and how I'm 2 weeks post-op and I haven't really had any spirals of negativity throughout this. I know it can be really frustrating to be in bed rest, and not being able to walk is just like something we take for granted, you know? So my first point is that I have developed this deep trust in the universe. And this trust is something that I've spent a lot of time working on and building. But essentially, I truly believe that everything is working out for me. Everything is working out as it's meant to. And I trust the process of life. So I think because having this general level of trust, it allows me this level of acceptance, that I can accept the things that happen to me when the situations aren't ideal. I trust that everything's working out. I trust that this was meant to happen. And you know what? I did learn from it. And although it sucks to have injured my knee 2 summers in a row and now be dealing with post-surgery life, you know, it is what it is. Like, if I don't accept it, it's not going to change the situation. So try to build this level of trust and acceptance that like, things happen in life and it could be worse. Like, I'm gonna heal and recover and be able to continue living my life, and it's gonna be fine. The next 2 words are words that I talk about often on here, and that would be presence and patience, okay? The 2 P's. P power. So presence and patience. I have been working on being more present for over a year now. And I have seriously, once I tapped into it and I really understood what presence was, how to kind of ground myself in presence, how to come back to the present moment when you're either focusing too much on the future or past. Once that kind of unlocked for me, I feel like I've just gained this whole new perspective on life where I'm like, wow, like I understand like the meaning of life is just to exist and to be and allow yourself to be where you are. So presence has really helped me, because instead of thinking about the past, thinking about, oh, if, you know, before I was injured, I could do all these things. Okay, but that's irrelevant. Like, this is where you are now. Or thinking about future of like, oh, I just want to be, can we just fast forward 5 months so that I can run again? Or can we just fast forward to next summer where I can actually have a good normal summer? But like, that's not where I am. And I don't want to fast forward. I want to be where I am. I want to spend the time I have now as the best version of myself. And obviously I have to think about that in the context of, yeah, I have an injury. And so life is not going to be just as peachy as it would be if I wasn't injured. But at the same time, like, that's okay. Like, this is where I am. And the second P, patience. You have to be patient. I am naturally not a patient person. I'm actually really quite proud of myself on how much patience I have built over the past couple of years, because I used to be very quick to get frustrated. I didn't have a lot of patience growing up. As a kid, I didn't have a lot of patience, but I think that goes to show, like, you can change your habits. You can rewire your brain to be the type of person you want to be. Patience is something I think is so important and something I really value in friendship and partnership. Being patient too with the healing process is like, your body physically cannot do the things that you're used to doing. So you have to be patient in that, okay, patience means I have to walk really slow. I have to take breaks. I have to allow myself to slow down. Honestly, when you're injured, you're forced to be patient in a lot of ways. And I honestly don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing, because learning patience and being able to think about things and respond versus react is really truly an important skill. And my last kind of tip for dealing with injuries is the idea of looking at the big picture. So in the big picture of my life over the past 2 years that I've been dealing with this injury, in theory, like, this is it. I've gotten the surgery. Now my knee's like healing properly, right? Whereas when I injured it the first time, I was able to rehab it. I just didn't have my ACL. Second injury, too far gone, wasn't able to properly rehab because my meniscus was out of place, and like, you can't walk properly in that case. So it's like, the fact that I've had surgery now is like, oh my God, it's fixed. Like, my knee is fixed. It just has to heal now. But when it heals, it's gonna be healed, like, things are in the right place, things are put together, I'm gonna have full function. Like, so looking at that as the big picture of like, I'm kind of getting my life back here. In that sense, yeah, I can wait 5 months to run again. Are you kidding? If it means that I'm gonna have my life back, I'm in no rush. Like, this is it, right? And I think too, I was fortunate to have surgery quickly. I know it depends on where you live and your education, your healthcare system. But yeah, I know in Canada, a lot of people wait a long time for surgery. And in a way, it feels like I have been waiting a long time because this is my second injury. But in theory, the timeline between getting my MRI and getting my surgery was very quick. So I'm very grateful for that. And in that sense, again, that goes with this level of trust. Like, I trust the universe has my back. Another thing I want to mention really quick is just the importance of like connecting with people. Whether people are around you are injured or not, just connecting with your friends. I'm having some friends come over because I'm not very mobile right now and I'm not really comfortable going out and doing things. So I'm gonna have some friends over, which is nice. I also have a couple friends that I found out got surgery recently too. So we've been playing like iPhone games. Like, I've been sending them iPhone games and we've been playing. So it's just nice to have this sense of community of like, okay, I'm not alone in this. And, you know, obviously I'm very surprised that 2 of my friends have recently had surgery. It seems funny timing, but again, if it's nice to feel like you're not alone. So still figure out how you can connect with people. Don't just lock yourself away and, you know, not do anything, because there's still little things you can do and ways you can connect with people. So I would love for you guys to comment, what injury are you dealing with, when you're getting surgery, if you haven't had it yet, how are you feeling, and what's something that's kind of helping you through this process, because I think life is what we make it. I could choose to be upset, right? We could choose to be angry, frustrated, upset with our situation, or we can accept it and say, look, I'm gonna do the best I can. Some days are definitely harder than others, but it is what it is, and that's okay. All right, guys, I hope this is helpful to someone out there. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I will catch you soon.